Hey guys, welcome back to another Late Night Strange. And tonight we are going to be talking about Dogman. For those of you who like this kind of content, please like and subscribe, and feel free to drop down a comment below in the comment section. Let's get started. What is a Dogman? Dogman is a half dog, half human roaming around parts of the world, described as a 7-foot tall monster that kind of looks like a Bigfoot, but with a dog head and a torso of a man. This creature has been described to look like a Bigfoot, but instead of having a cone-shaped head like a Bigfoot, it has a dog or wolf-like face. People have also described this creature to be a werewolf. So before we jump into all the stories out there of encounters and the stories that made Dogman popular, let's jump into the origins of the werewolf and just how this creature came to be way back then before we even heard about it or seen it on TV. And to me, every story out there, every Hollywood movie out there, or every mythical stories out there of these creatures or any kind of creatures at all really does have some truth behind it, even if they over exaggerate. People are really seeing something, and that is what I kind of want to get into today. So let's go all the way back to the ancient origins of the werewolf. So back in the days, we knew the werewolf through film, television, or literature, or even thought that Hollywood was the creator of this beast. But in reality, this creature is actually far older than that. So the earliest example of a man transforming into a beast or a wolf was actually found in the Epic of Gilgamesh from around 2100 BC. However, the werewolf as we know now first appeared in ancient Greece and Rome, especially in poets and philosophical texts. So back in 425 BC, a Greek historian known as Herodotus described the Neri, a nomadic tribe of magical men who changed into wolves for several days of the year. Now let's go into some of these Native American lores that maybe has some potential explanation for the Dogman legends. So there was once a warlike tribe that they had the ability to transform themselves into any creatures they choose, but they would rather choose the wolf because it was the most scariest and the most powerful. Back in the days, I remember seeing these photos of these Native Americans hunting buffalo and wearing these wolf-like pelts over them and just kind of sneak up on them because buffaloes, they are pretty much in a pack. They aren't really scared of any predator, but when humans approach, they take off running and stampede. So unless you're in the Yellowstone National Park where these buffaloes or bisons are so used to see humans, they don't really run much. So what these natives are doing are they will wear these pelts over them, crawl like wolves all the way until they get into reaching distance, and then shoot their bows or throw their spears at them. Now this gets into pretty much the weird stuff, like the Navajo culture has the skinwalker. Most of them can't even say this word because it's such a taboo word, but it is a type of witch who has the ability to turn or possess or disguise himself as an animal. And most of the times they wear a coyote pelt or a wolf pelt over them where they could pretty much disguise themselves as pretty much anything they want. And most of the times they will turn into these wolf-like creatures. And we can't go on without talking about the Twilight series, where pretty much Jake turns into a wolf. And yes, I'm talking about the Twilight series. Yep. My wife made me watch it, but you know what? Part 4 was pretty good. Anyways, please don't unsubscribe. So there's a lot of examples out there of native lore, native culture, native traditions, or within their culture of these humans turning into wolves. But these stories aren't really just the Native Americans. For those of you who knows about the Ed and Lorraine cases out there, you guys probably heard about the South End werewolf. So one of the most bizarre cases out there was investigated by Ed and Lorraine Warren. Ed and Lorraine Warren is pretty much the Hansel and Gretel of the modern world. They are pretty much the American paranormal investigators that we know of today that did the Conjuring series, and pretty much what made them famous is the paranormal cases in the Connecticut area and pretty much all around the world. So At a Loring Warren, they had a really strange case known as the South End werewolf, where a carpenter by the name of William Ramsey claimed to have a demonic possession that transformed him into a werewolf. Ramsey had experienced his first transformation at the age of 9. As he described it, he was playing outside when he felt an icy cold breeze, followed by an awful smell. Before he flew into a rage, he uprooted a fence post with the fence still on it and started gnawing on it. Ramsey then would not experience another episode like this until he was an adult. He would then fly into these violent random rages, during which he would display inhuman strength, baring his teeth and growling while curling his hands like claws. When the Warrens caught wind of this in 1987, they convinced Bill Ramsey had to come to the church in Connecticut and undergo an exorcism with the specialist Bishop Robert McKenna. The Warrens then brought Bill back into Connecticut to meet the Bishop Robert McKenna and pretty much did an exorcism, and then ever since that exorcism was a success, Bill's never had any of these crazy werewolf-like transformation. I went a little bit fast on that story, but if you guys have read the book Werewolf, A True Story of Demonic Possession, this book goes into a lot more details of his transformation and what really, how he looked like. So one photo that was floating around the internet back in 2018, a large wolf-like creature was shot by a rancher in Montana. This wolf-like creature puzzled local experts and social media around the world. There was even debate that this was a dogman or a giant wolf that was shot by the hunter. It had a long grayish brown fur, a large head, and a snout, but its ears seems larger than average, and it seems like its legs were too short and the body was a little bit too short too to be a typical wolf. Even Fish and Wild Game didn't know what it was. But after about a month later, when DNA results came back, it has been said that this creature was actually a gray wolf. But you know how the internet works. Yep, a lot of skeptical people out there saying that government does not want us to know the reality of this creature. Cryptid or not, there are some strange reports of large wolves out there. No matter which country you hear about werewolves, they are always a larger species of wolf running on all fours or on two legs, and typically have some kind of blend between humans and wolves. There are a lot of interesting legends around the world. For example, down in South America, they know this werewolf-like creature as lobazam. The lobazam story is they are known to be werewolves, but in some versions a ball of fire, or usually a large pig. In human form, it is said to look like a normal person, except for slightly pointed ears with yellowish pale skin. In a werewolf form, it has no difference whatsoever from other cultures' descriptions. Just like the North American werewolf, there's also a detail of how you could be a lobazam. So one, you're being, you got bit by a lobazam. Number two is you come in contact with the lobazam's blood. And number three, it's a lot similar to the details you hear from pretty much Dogman stories. But this one is a little bit different. So the third one is being a family member or being the seventh son, in which cases because the son can be saved by making one of his elder brothers his godfathers. Instead of turning to this lobazam creature, they have to declare one of their elder brothers as a godfather. So why the seventh? So for example, in the Michigan Dogman story, there is a legend that says the Michigan Dogman appears in a 10th year cycle that falls on the year ending in 7. So 7, I mean, the similarities between that just kind of boggles my mind, and found that rather interesting. So next on our list, let's talk about the Russian werewolf, also known as the Varkolak. So the Varkolak is not really considered to be evil at all or vicious. So this werewolf is known to be kind of like the villager's pet. It will come by, it'll be a very nice big old werewolf, and people will feed it and it'll kind of stick around for a bit. But how it is told is this Varkolak will always change sceneries because it can't be in one place for a long time. Kind of weird, but this is kind of like the friendly werewolf that roams around Russia. That is what legend has been told, but there's also another werewolf in Russian culture that is known as the Bodark. So the Bodark is a type of werewolf that was once a person, but instead of being made to transform to a wolf, this person actually wants to become one. So to do so, they will need to run into the forest, stab a copper knife into a tree. While holding it, they have to repeat a chant. And I'm not going to say the chant because it's too long, but once the tree has been stabbed and the chant has been said, the person would then run off into the forest, changing into a werewolf. Whether or not these wolves will look for humans to feast on or harm is unclear. If you were to run into any of these two creatures, you would probably want to run into a varkalok. Next on our list, we have the Beast of Gevaudan from France. The beast was generally described as a wolf-like canine with the tail, lean frame capabilities of taking great strides. There has been a lot of exaggeration of the size of this creature to be the size of a calf, a cow, or in some cases a horse. So this is another report of a large wolf that roams around France that was also known to be a werewolf-like creature that terrorized the former province of Gevaudan in the Marguerite Mountains in south-central France between 1764 and 1767. This creature did so much damage and terrorized the province of Gevaudan so much that the Kingdom of France used a considerable amount of wealth and manpower to hunt this creature down. That included soldiers, nobles, royal huntsmen, and even civilians. The number of victims pretty much differs according to sources. In a 1987 study, there has been an estimated of 210 attacks, resulting in 113 deaths and 49 injuries. 98 of those victims were killed or partially eaten. Other sources claim that this creature or this animal killed between 60 and 100 adults and children and injured more than 30. The beast was then reportedly killed several times because there was known to be more than one before the attacks finally stopped. Next on the list, we have the wolver. Wolver is a kind of wolf-like humanoid creature in the folklore of Scotland. In modern times, the origin of the wolver has been disputed. They were usually described as looking like furry people with the head of a wolf, and some accounts even claim that they were never human to begin with. There's been a lot of dispute and criticism with this wolver creature being in Scotland folklore. Sometimes even saying that people who are seeing these creatures possibly suffer from some kind of medical condition. As you know, we see in the United States, a lot of people don't like talking about this topic due to being criticized. And that is the reason why I believe a lot of these stories and folklores are being pretty much ridiculed, or that's the reason why a lot of people don't come out, because they don't want to be known as this person that has medical conditions or possibly being labeled as a nut like me. Next on our list, let's talk about something a little bit closer to home, known as the Rougarou. This creature is often described to have a human body with the head of a dog or wolf, similar to werewolf legends. It is also known to prowl around swamps in the Arcadian and greater New Orleans, and the sugarcane fields and the woodlands of the region. Stories of this creature has been told to inspire fear and obedience. One example is a story that has been told by elders to persuade Cajun children to behave. According to another variation, the wolf-like beast will hunt down and kill Catholic children who do not follow the rules. By reading so much stories all around the world, most of these creatures are sometimes made up by their parents to make sure the kids will behave and stay disciplined. So I get it. I have stories like that in my culture too, where they instill fear by creating this creature that would get me if I don't behave. Now let's talk about a creature that we have all known to be as Dogman. This creature known as Dogman doesn't just instill fear in children, but has been reported seen by adults all around the world. The first ever documented sighting happened in 1887, located in Wexford County, Michigan, when two lumberjacks saw a creature which they described to having a man's body and a dog's head. This creature has reported to be at least 7 feet tall, has blue eyes or amber-eyed, bipedal canine-like animal with the torso of a man. According to legends, this Michigan Dogman appears in a 10-year cycle that falls on the year ending in 7. Like I said before, the sightings have been reported in several locations throughout Michigan. Most of these reports of this Dogman creature happens on the northwestern quadrant of the Lower Peninsula. So sometimes I wonder why land up there is so cheap, because I have looked for land up there to buy and it is extremely cheap. And sometimes I wonder if the landowner has a beast prowling around that they're not putting in the reports, but that is just my speculation. It is also mainly swampland, but you know what? It kind of makes you wonder sometimes why land up there are so cheap. Michigan, especially northern Michigan, has also been ranked number 8 for the most Bigfoot sightings out there in the United States. And a lot of people has been debating whether some of these Bigfoot sightings are actually Dogman, because most of the Dogman sightings come from the northern western part of Michigan. And with the two creatures looking very identical, other than the Bigfoot having the cone-shaped head and the head of a Dogman, it looks like a wolf or a dog, there's been a debate whether a lot of these sightings are actually Dogman and not Bigfoot. Another thing to that too is when these Bigfoot reports come in, these Bigfooters will go in to track these Bigfoot down, and they will run into these really weird tracks that sometimes have these 4 toes or these 3 long toes. And most of the times they say, you know what, this is something very strange that we don't come upon, but there's been Dogman reports around this area too, which they claim that these tracks here were actually Dogman. What is really strange too is these Bigfooters will say when there's a Bigfoot around, you hear knockings and you hear howling and stuff like that. But when Dogman's around, most of the reporting says that the forest goes absolutely quiet. Like all the birds and all the prey had just stopped moving, and pretty much the atmosphere just kind of changes, as if there was a predator in the area.
You realize the jungle is going silent. Start running and never look back.
In the 1700s, the Dogman was also called the Wendigo by the Ottawa tribes. French explorers also called this Dogman the Lougarou, meaning werewolf. There's been a lot more of these famous reportings of this Dogman creature in the 1930s. One of those accounts was with Robert Fortney, which was attacked by 5 wild dogs, and said that one of the 5 dogs actually walked on 2 legs. Just in Michigan alone, there has been more than 500 reported sightings. But one April Fool's morning, this Michigan Dogman in 1987 has become even more popular when a radio guy named Steve Cook of WTCM of Traverse City played a song he recorded called The Legend. The song The Legend consists of Dogman encounters. So Cook had recorded this song as April Fool's prank. The radio station then got bombarded with phone calls and reports of people seeing this Michigan Dogman. To his surprise, instead of just playing the song one time, it is played over and over, and it's been one of the most requested songs throughout the year. This song alone, The Legend, earned Cook more than $60,000, which he has donated it all to various animal charities. Now let's jump down to Wisconsin, where this beast made its way onto the big screens. Most commonly known in this 2005 horror film as The Beast of Bray Road. The Beast of Bray Road is the name given to a wolf-like creature allegedly reported to have been witnessed in or near Elkhorn, Walworth County, Wisconsin. This creature has been part of Wisconsin's folklore and has been the subject of multiple books, documentaries, and even a 2005 horror film. But before this movie even came out, it was actually based upon reports and sightings that happened around Walworth County. The reports and sighting of the Beast of Bray Road is often described by alleged witnesses between 6 foot to 7 foot tall, that has a human body that's covered in fur or hair, sometimes walking on 2 legs or 4 legs, and with a head that resembles a large wolf or a dog. Some of these reports also claim that this creature had glowing red eyes or orange eyes. A lot of these reports describe it more closely to resemble a traditional werewolf or a Bigfoot. So the first sightings of this creature in Wolver County was actually in 1936. But in the 1980s, several alleged witnesses reported that the beast had made contact with their vehicles, leaving long scratch marks along the doors and trunks of the vehicle. Another reporting that came during that time was a woman claimed that she hit something while crossing Bray Road. Upon exiting her vehicle to determine what she hit, supposedly a large wolf-like creature with red eyes chased her back to her car, leaving claw marks in the rear passenger door. Sightings also have been reported during the daylight hours, which several witnesses states that they observed an unusual large wolf-like creature running on all fours through cornfields. It was even reported that this creature hunted deers, so these reports came in of this creature sometimes chasing deers through the fields. And for those of you who lives in Wisconsin knows how much deers we have, so this would be a perfect place for any large cryptid wolf-like creature. Throughout the years, animal mutilation also has been reported around the area of Bray Road, with animal remains including deers and livestock partially eaten with specific organs removed from the animal carcasses. This dogman has also been reported to be seen eating roadkill alongside the road. With all these reported sightings happening in Wolver County, a lot of people has been theorizing or proposing that this creature is just simply a gray wolf or a large dog such as a Great Pyrenees or Newfoundland. It is also possible that hoax and mass hysteria has caused some of this falsehood and sightings of normal creatures to all be artificially placed under the same label. Others have theorized that the creature may be just an American black bear suffering from mange. Like wolves, black bear has been sighted throughout Wolver County. But even with the explanation or people trying to come out and say, you know what, this is probably what it is, we can't ignore the sightings that happens all over the world, and especially in Michigan itself. Throughout history and lore, we have learned that there has been many sightings of half human and half animal creatures, or simply humans turning into animals as they wish. We can get into the rabbit hole with shapeshifters in another episode, but I just thought I would talk a little bit about werewolves and Dogman. And that is it for today, guys. For those of you who like this kind of content, please like and subscribe. Put a comment down below. I will see you guys on the next episode of The Late Night Strange. Goodbye, guys. Stay spooky. Bye-bye.